This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
And I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, Glick, what's going on? The podcast named after you.
Yeah, it's like, well, I'm back to talk about a new series that has just wrapped up from one of my favorite writers, Kieron Gillen. He he's a guy who just about can't do anything wrong from his work on Phonogram. It's like to Uncanny X-Men to the Wicked and Divine, and including his Star Wars work, ranging from Darth Vader to Dr. Aphra, and to a lesser extent, the Star Wars series proper itself. And he's also come back to Marvel with a pretty good first volume of Eternals. But in between all this, well, he's also been doing more creator-owned stuff, such as with Once and Future, and the series we're talking about today, Die. Now, not that he's telling the reader to die, but die is basically a reference to dice. It's like as in the kind you use when you're playing a pen and paper role playing game. And this is a series that is basically all about that, and just also ties into like why we play these games itself, as well as like some nods to like goth, like high fantasy gothic horror, and the 1980s Dungeons and Dragons animated series, which kind of serves as kind of a basis for the series, as Galen someone brought to the idea to Galen that, hey, what if the kids from that series never made it home? Well, that's kind of what we're dealing. It's of a it's kind of, but not really what we're dealing with here, as the series starts off in it's like in 1991, like with these kids, these teenagers. um it's like see Ash, Chuck, Matt, Angela, Isabel, and Saul, all meeting up, for a gaming session. It's like run by Saul, because it's his and Ash's birthday. And it turns out that for this special occasion, Saul has created an all new game for them to play. It's like he's created the world, created the roles for these characters. It's like, and the idea is like, hey, let's play this and have fun. It's like, and see where it goes. Thing is, like, after they start, they suddenly disappear from this world for 2 years. When they reappear 2 years later, none of them can talk about why they've been away all this time, what happened to them. It's like, and also Saul is missing. Fast forward 20 years later to the year of our Lord 2018, and these kids are now adults, and they've done their best to try and put this put this episode behind them, until one day on Ash's birthday, he gets a mysterious package, and it contains Saul's blood-soaked D20, his 20-sided die that his character, the Grandmaster, used in this fateful game. Because what happened was like these kids wound up going into the world that Saul created for for this game. It's like, and they lived there, like fighting excuse me, um fighting among but fighting the bad guys, mixing it up with the locals. It's like, and I'm taking on like it's like it's like the the grand big bad of the world, to in order to finally come home. It's like, only only problem is, like, when they get this. It's like when Ash gets this die, and like basically tells everyone, like tell all his friends about it. They basically have to. They basically realize that, okay, we've got to address what's going on, even though that everyone's kind of like living relatively normal lives at this point. Well, I mean, Ash is married. We don't think we know actually what he's doing as a full time job. But Chuck, the like so the self-absorbed like guy who just doesn't let anything get to him, is now a hugely successful fantasy writer with with films based on his books. Um, Matt is now a statistics professor at the local university, and also a dad as well. It's like Angela, Ash's sister, it's like, is a coder at a gaming company. Only like she's going through an ugly divorce right now. That's like threatening to upend her relationship with her daughters. It's like Isabel is a she's let's see, she's a divorced school teacher. It's like, and she's like less standoffish than she was back in the day. It's like, and all these people, they've gotten together, they're trying to figure out, what does this mean? But before they can really get into the nitty gritty of this, well, they're all summoned back to the world of Die, the world that Saul created, and they're also greeted by Saul himself, who's become one of the undead, the fallen creatures of this world, and he wants them to finish the game this time, because now he's essentially the grandmaster of this world. It's like, and he wants them to fully experience this world that he's created for them. So it's a solid setup, but this is also like, it started off as being like the one series from Kieron Gillen that didn't immediately win me over with its first volume, mainly because Gillen is a very witty, very funny writer who I think that his that wit is like one of the things that like thoroughly appeals to me. It's like throughout all of his works, and with this first volume, like it was like things got dark. It's like it's like we got to see like at one point Ash, who was female in the game world. It's like is greeted by a former like by a former knight that she that she was friends with, and he said that it's like that he would I continue to quest for her. It's like until he could lay eyes upon her again. Problem is, well, it's like when they've been gone for all this time, well, he's died. He's basically become a rotting corpse. It's like, and he's it's like, hey, I see, it's like hey, that promise I made to you. It's like, it didn't work out. It worked, and it was really bad. And so it turns out that that Isabel has to use her powers as a god binder to contact one of her tame gods to give this guy sight again. And as soon as he grants eyes upon Ash, it's like it's like he immediately like sees, oh, my quest is over, and then he liquefies right over her body. It's like it's kind of gross, but the series also like does kind of trend close to horror in the sense that it's like bad things happen to these people. It's like like the world they left. It's like is not it's like this is something that they were traipsing through as teenagers, and they didn't understand the full consequences of their actions. And it's like now they're adults, and like they're being forced to reckon with their actions as kids. And also it's like to and also as adults they realize that, hey, it's like we can think of like other solutions to problems, such as like we don't have to play the game the way Saul describes it. Why don't we just attack his favorite city in order to get him out in the open, so we can like force him to to send us back? Only like to find out that some of the characters don't want to go back, and this feeling, this mentality of everyone's got their own agenda. It's like, and they're trying to work it out for themselves. Like that kind of plays out over the course of the first 3 volumes before everyone finally gets on the same page, and they realize what's at stake. More than that, though, it's like Die is also an interrogation of the origins of like a pen and paper fantasy itself. It's like the first volume basically has an issue dedicated to J.R.R. Tolkien. It's like, and how his experiences in World War I shaped Lord of the Rings, which is also one of the cornerstones of of pen and paper fantasy. Volume 2 actually has something even more interesting, in that we find out about Charlotte Bronte. Yes, the famous Bronte sisters and family. It's like, and how her family basically did their own kind of role playing sessions as kids, and how it consumed them, or at least as Gillen describes it in World. It's like to an unhealthy end. Then there's volume 3, which has H.G. Wells, in his explicit rule building, in his book Little Wars, which he was trying to put out as a means of heading off any any major wars based on wargaming, but it turned out to have the opposite effect. Then there's one more character, good old H.P. Lovecraft, who has like who has a starring role. It's like in the showcase issue for the final volume, as we learn about his like how his dream logic writing influenced it's like influenced the genre as well. It's like this is all like like fascinating, interesting stuff, but at the same time though, it's kind of like leads into my biggest problem with this series, like on the reread, because a lot of times when I reread stuff, it's like I find that it reads much better. It's like once you like are able to take in everything from beginning to end. Die kind of works like this. There is some stuff here that's set up like early on, like the motif of like what am I for, that finally pays off in the like in the final volume. It's like, and also like Ash's status as a very unreliable narrator. It's like I said, it's not that there isn't payoff. It's just that on rereading this, I uh, I got the feeling that the world of Die, which with its influences like in real life, it's like in these like real life masters, like it's like, and also the it's this description of like being created by like a by a 16-year-old kid. It's like it's it doesn't seem to be like a very credible fantasy world. Now I'm not. And on one hand, I think that might be Guyland's it's like aim here, in the sense that this is a series all about interrogating like what does fantasy role playing mean. It's like mean to us, the player. It's like, and also just like also asking like what kind of hold does it have over us. It's like what does it, and how does it affect our lives as a result. So I think that the world itself is meant to like to serve these like this aim that he's telling, rather than the story itself. Now I think that the characterization like of the cast is pretty solid, and I think that like his talent like for giving like witty one liners like is unparalleled, and there's like lots of fun. Each character has, like some great zingers or sick burns that they inflict on each other. And it's also like interesting to see the characters as they adapt to like what's happened to them, like this world they experience as kids and they have to deal with as adults. Some of them it's like deal with this better than others, like Chuck, who is just hey, it's like I'm not here to learn, I'm just here to party. It's like, and even then like we learn that he's also got some demons that he's going to learn to address here. But also Ash, because it's not for nothing that he's a he in the real world and a she in the like in the fantasy world of Die, because that's something that it's touched upon over the course of the series, but isn't really fully interrogated until the final volume. And Isabel, who initially starts off as being like one person who's too cool for all of this, but eventually like turns out to like be taking this more seriously than anyone else. It's like all the characters are interesting, and I think that they're enough to get me to go through this. But at the same time, this world doesn't really feel um all that like a proper fantasy world, something that you can really get lost in. It's like it just kind of feels like it's something that's meant to interrogate you know fan like on fantasy tropes, and also like serve the characters in terms of like their own personal journeys. And and one of the reasons I'm saying this is because before I started rereading Die, I also spent like a week rereading another series that goes deep into world building. It's like along with its character development, and that is a Monstrous by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda. Now, if you've read my reviews of Monstrous, you'll notice that one of my criticisms is that like, hey, it's like this shit is dense. I should probably like reread each volume before I start before I go on to the next one. But the last volume, War Child, managed to be like really good on its own terms, and to the point where it's like I figured like, hey, you know what? I really should reread everything, before going on to volume 6, The Vow. And you know what? It's like that that really paid off because I was able to pick up on stuff that was only hinted at in early volumes, and it was also cool seeing like the evolution of certain characters over the it's like over the run of the series. So when I finally did get around to reading through The Vow, it's like after rereading the previous 5 volumes, it's like it was thoroughly entertaining, and it's like I was able, and I was it's like, and I think I was able to, I would have enjoyed it more than I would have had I just read it cold, after months away from the previous volume of the series. But more than that, the level of world building that Liu and Takeda invest in their series is such that I can imagine all sorts of stories being told like it's like in the world of Monstrous. Like I want to know more about Corvin, the it's like the crow servant of the Dusk Court, or Tuya. It's like Micah Halfwolf's lover, who is also the Baroness of the Dusk Court, and like she's and my God, like we really do need like a mini series about her in order to unpack her motivations, because some of the shit she pulls in volume 6, it's like wow, it's like there we need, like I said, we need to find out just what's going on in her head. But I'm getting away from this point because the thing about the world building in Die is that it's all meant to serve like this interrogation of like a fantasy role playing itself. It's like and the growth of its main cast. I honestly, it's hard for me to imagine any other stories being told in this world apart from the characters themselves. It's like, as far as, I mean, we're sure it's like the fantasy version of World War One that's running in Eternal Prussia. I mean, okay, that's a concept, but we don't get any to any real characters like emerging out of that. In fact, like some of the only really notable like character supporting characters like in the series are like there's Dower and Delight, like the true dwarves, who are basically meant expressly one note characterizations, who are basically saying, hey, it's like we're dwarves and we've only got one character trait apiece. Hey, isn't that kind of funny? I mean, I get what he's going at there, but at the same time, it's like it's hard to see like this world like supporting any other stories beyond what's being told in the main cast. That's funny because Gillen has been developing Die as a proper pen and paper RPG um like series since the first volume, and yeah, it's like, and you can also like go online and and download it if you're interested in checking it out. Um, I I to be honest, it's like I kind of don't have like the desire to do that because, like I said, it kind of feels just more like something that he created specifically for this series, rather than something that feels like, oh, this is like something we can do, like this is like a world we can explore. And I guess to try and like steer this thing towards a conclusion, the final volume, Bleed, um it's like it's like it doesn't really do a whole lot like to change my mind about that. I mean, yes, we get like we get the HP Lovecraft stuff here, and we do get like answers to certain store aspects of the mythos that got us set up, like such as where the fallen come from. It's like, and also just why its timeline is so weird and twisty. It's like, oh, and also it's like just what the deal is with Saul and what really happened to him. It's like after everyone left. It's left him the first time, and it's like Guylan is it's like he's still like a really solid writer when it comes to plotting, and it's to his credit that all this stuff does come together in the end, especially when we find out it's like, hey, it's like just the reason it's like like the real big bad of the series, it's like actually turns out to be Dice, honestly, and it does make a certain amount of sense, as does Ash's response to this like 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 to this overlord, like that actually rounds up resolving everything as well. And I also do like the business when Ash has to interrogate her, like her other self that wants to come back like to the world. It's like to the real world. It's like in order to spare her friends. It's it's like it's kind of clever and interesting, and it's why like I still enjoyed this series. Like I said, even if like its world building just kind of like left, like I guess ultimately disappointed me in the end. But but the the final issue, which basically has all the resolution, like once everyone gets back to the real world, which come on, you knew it was going to happen. There's some surprises, and there's a large amount of satisfaction in terms of like everyone basically gets what they deserve, for lack of a better term. And it's like, and so like that's cool. It's like I liked it. And also one thing I haven't mentioned at this point is that the series, for all of its 20 issues, has stellar art from Stephanie Hans, who has worked with Gillen on Journey into Mystery and Wicked, and a couple issues of the Wicked and Divine, and she's got like a great sense of style, and she does a great job of like making this stuff like look like it belongs. All these disparate elements like cyberpunk rogues, it's like steampunk dragons, high fantasy like it's like English courts. It's like all look like they belong in this one series, and it's like it's really and the series is never at a loss for like great visuals under it's like under her pen. It's like so she does a great job of holding us all together. It's like even when this like the story just can't quite like sell what it's what it's trying to deliver. So in the end, like I guess Die is like a series that kind of shows that a so-so series written by Guyland is still better than other people's best efforts, because I think that the character work is solid, and even though like the world building does kind of disappoint, it still has art that's really solid to hold itself together, and the overall plotting and character work is still pretty strong. Um, I can't say that I would recommend this as something that if you're looking to like experience like what is great about Guyland, like why I'll follow this guy to whatever he does. It's like it's more one for the converted. But if you're looking for like evidence of why Stephanie Hans should do another ongoing series after this, then like this will do it for you. But also, like I said, it's not bad. It's just that I've read better stuff from the writer elsewhere, and well, it's like that's pretty much it. So it's not bad, just a little disappointing. Though if you're
Well,
reading between the lines, you might be able to guess what series I'm going to put on my best of list this year.
not this one.
Not this one, but like I said, if you've been paying attention, you'll know.
All right. Well, well, that's a pretty interesting review there. So, do you know what you're going to be talking about next time, Jason?
Uh, it's like I've got plans. It's like about stuff that I want to talk about. I think I may one may just go ahead and order it's like the oh wait, what is it? Oh, The Girl from the Other Side. It's like I think maybe I'll just put out the order for that on it's like on the right stuff right now, because I've that's one of the two manga series I want to talk about before the end of the year. But there's also other stuff like coming out as well, because there's like Ajin, and also that final volume of Immortal Hulk, which I hope to get Rob back for before the end of the year. But we'll see how that goes.
All right. Well, that sounds like a lot of fun, and we'll catch you next time on Comic Picks by the Glick.
All right, later's everyone.
Bye.